Austin climate change activists march in hopes of having their concerns heard by lawmakers.
A lifeguard shortage in Austin could keep pools closed this summer.
How a former University of Texas golfer moves to the top of the ranks with a statement match play victory. Reporting Texas TV starts now.
Get in there.
Good evening, I'm Jaxie Pigeon.
And I'm Estrella Hernandez.
Last Friday was an internationally recognized day for climate activism.
Climate action rallies happened all over the globe, and people in Austin were there to participate. Madeline Salinas joins us live in the studio to tell us more.
As spring rolls around, UT students are reminded that another hot summer is expected. The Students Fighting for Climate Change organization on UT's campus rallied with other local climate activists last week as part of the Fridays for Future global climate strike.
Passion, signs, and a voice. That's all these local activists needed to show their support for climate action in Texas.
Fridays for Future is kind of a student-based advocacy movement. It was started by Greta Thunberg, who's kind of become really huge on an international stage, but this one in particular is the Global Day of Climate Action.
About 50 people took part in Friday's march and were there in hopes of educating others about Texas climate issues. Austin was just one of 600 cities around the world participating in marches. But it almost didn't happen in Austin.
Whenever we were looking back in February, we realized there was no event happening in Austin, and so we wanted to take the initiative as the student org to be able to actually establish it on campus.
Those that participated in the Fridays for Change climate march made their way from the UT Tower to the Texas State Capitol.
Many say they're concerned about rising carbon dioxide emissions and the global temperature increase. Speakers at the state capitol hoped lawmakers heard their desire to have ERCOT held accountable for the power grid shortage in 2021 and shutting down the Fayette coal power plant, which contributes to the 1 billion tons of coal the U.S. burns every year.
All of us are experiencing climate change now, and it will get worse as we get older. You just have to put your own lifetime on these climate projections to see that it's not really a pretty picture.
I guess my survival depends on it later on in the future. The lives of tens of millions, if not billions, is at stake.
This is what democracy looks like. In Austin, Madeline Salinas, reporting Texas TV.
If you'd like to learn more about climate change and its effects, or learn more about Fridays for Future, you can visit their website. We have a link to it with this story at reportingtexastv.com.
First responders are continuing to battle wildfires in Fort Hood and the surrounding areas. Due to record high temperatures, dry winds, and worsening drought, fires have been ripping through Texas at an alarming rate. Governor Greg Abbott has been prompted to declare a state of disaster as the fires pose an imminent threat. A red flag warning will remain in effect.
A new fourth round of COVID-19 vaccines has been approved in response to a spike in cases. Following FDA approval on Tuesday, the CDC announced they are recommending a second booster. Both Moderna and Pfizer-BioNTech vaccines were authorized in response to growing concerns over the new variant.
Period of time, particularly when you're dealing with a SARS coronavirus. Different viruses and different vaccines have variable degrees of durability of protection.
Vaccine will be available for Americans over 50 and those with severely weakened immune systems. Children as young as 12 are also eligible depending on their health conditions. Austin public health officials announced on Tuesday that COVID guidelines are being loosened to align with new CDC guidelines. Under the new model, Travis County is now in the low-risk category. The county no longer recommends masking for anyone except for those who are not up to date on their vaccinations.
The first of 6 new international flight routes from the Austin airport has made its debut. The new nonstop flight to Amsterdam from KLM Royal Dutch Airlines took off Monday. Other nonstop flights from Austin Bergstrom starting this year include Frankfurt, Vancouver, and 3 new routes to Mexico.
This destination is our 13th destination for KLM here in the United States, and in a way, it's overdue that we're here. But again, we all know what happened over the past 2 years, and timing could not have been better.
10 international routes are currently offered out of Austin. The airport is looking to expand its options even further to include more European cities as well as several in Asia.
Coming up, Round Rock is still working to recover from last week's tornado. We'll hear from residents as they share their stories.
And later, we'll recap an Elite 8 matchup in women's basketball as the Longhorns took on to defending champs.
This is CJ, the CEO of CJ's Produce. I'm the muscle, she's the brains.
It works.
My great-grandfather has owned the Brantley Estate since the early 1950s. It has stayed in our family, and we're trying to make him proud.
We had plenty of food and love, and that's what got us where we are today.
Mama Tia is my grandmother. She was actually the first in the family to get vaccinated. I was afraid. Leslie was going to get the shot. I came up with every excuse anybody else would say. My grandmother got her shot. When I saw how strong she was, it was like, I'm a healthy young man. Why can't I?
Did I have reservations? Absolutely. But doing your research, weighing the options of what works best for you, getting the vaccination is helping your fellow brethren, regardless of how you may disagree with them.
CJ has been the motivation for a lot of things. He needs his father there to show him how to become a man. So I am fully vaccinated. I have somebody counting on me, so we made the leap.
Nearly 2 weeks ago, severe weather in central Texas brought on strong storms and even tornadoes. Areas surrounding Austin saw 5 tornadoes touch down, the strongest in Round Rock. Terry Gutierrez talked to residents who were cleaning up.
Anthony Geronimo was busy working when an EF2 tornado hit his home in Round Rock. It broke the windows, walls, and destroyed the backyard.
It's stuff you see in the movies, it's stuff you see on the news.
Geronimo is a videographer for a local news station. He and his reporter were on their way to the storm when his wife called crying.
I said, John, we're going to my house, we're gonna be my wife and my son, and we'll do the live shot from there and whatever we need, but I gotta be with them.
Brianna Knight works at a hospital in Round Rock. She's no stranger to tornadoes after experiencing Joplin, Missouri's EF5 tornado in 2011. She spent her day preparing for the worst.
We could see a bunch of stuff hitting the windows, and that's how we knew it was there. And when we looked out the back windows, we could see all of our stuff on the porch, just circling.
Residents say although their homes and belongings have been damaged, what matters most is life.
This could have been much worse than it was. I just hope that everyone takes it seriously.
You can't put a price on life. You can't put a price on your child's safety, your wife's safety. And at the end of the day, that's what matters the most.
The city of Round Rock is still recovering. Mayor Craig Morgan signed a declaration of disaster as the city believes more than 350 homes were damaged. Resources for residents are ongoing in partnership with the Red Cross, Austin Disaster Relief Network, and other volunteer efforts. In Round Rock, Terry Gutierrez, reporting Texas TV.
You can also help by donating to relief funds and searching for cleanup volunteer opportunities organized by the city of Round Rock. Check out this story at reportingtexas.com.
Austin residents may need to find a new way to cool off unless the city can find more lifeguards. Pools may stay closed this summer because of a lifeguard shortage. During 2020, the city's Park and Recreation Aquatic Division was closed and unable to train new lifeguards, leading to the current shortage. Austin needs to hire over 600 new lifeguards to keep pools open.
I believe we have close to 200 people on payroll, but really for all the pools to be open, for as much as they should be open, we need closer to 750 lifeguards.
$15 per hour. They are offering a $500 completion bonus to lifeguards who start on June 1st and work at least 3 shifts this summer. Those interested can visit the city's website to apply.
UT is making significant changes to the calendar next year. The 2022 fall semester will begin on a Monday in August instead of a Wednesday, and Thanksgiving break will be extended to a full week. The spring semester will start earlier on the Monday before Martin Luther King Jr. Day, but it will end 2 weeks earlier than before. School officials say this will allow students to begin summer earlier and new graduates to start their careers sooner.
Psychedelics are making a new name for themselves in a surprising place, Texas. Reporting Texas's Jessica Linnemond has a new story about how psychedelic therapy is helping veterans treat PTSD.
Jessica, your story begins right here on campus. What inspired you to take on this story?
Yeah, so I was intrigued whenever I found out that UT recently opened the Center for Psychedelic Research and Therapy, and I then got to know the founder of the first nonprofit that helps veterans with PTSD find these psychedelic-assisted therapies in South America. I discovered just how many people are leaving the U.S. for these treatments, usually for life-saving measures. And since 9/11, the veteran suicide epidemic has taken about 20 lives per day. And so I needed to know why so many felt like there wasn't another option, and I was incredibly surprised by what I found.
And of all the places for these psychedelic studies to occur, conservative Texas would seem like one of the least likely. Is that why your article refers to the situation as the Texas miracle?
Yeah, so only a few other states have laws similar to House Bill 1802, which permitted psychedelic studies in Texas. The bill flew through both chambers, which is, a little surprising considering Texas's slow approval of, say, even medical cannabis use. The bill's author, State Representative Alex Dominguez, garnered bipartisan support with the help of some unlikely key individuals, and now several other states are following Texas's lead with similar bills.
Even still, there's often a stigma surrounding psychedelics in the U.S. How does the public get around that?
I think once you listen to these veterans' stories of how these treatments have offered them a new chance at life, it's really easy to understand the effectiveness. And beyond those testimonies, I think once you get past the imagery that hallucinogens or psychedelics might bring to mind, most of these are plants that have been used in ceremonies or medicines for centuries, just in another country and in another culture. Sorry.
Jessica, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Remember, you can find her story on reportingtexas.com. Next, temperatures will continue to rise for the rest of the week. We'll tell you more on what to expect.
Also, a look at how Texas baseball closes out the month of March with a sold-out home game against Texas A&M.
Listen, you're my friend.
I noticed you haven't really been yourself recently.
Yeah, I feel like something's up.
How are you?
Are you okay?
Is there anything you want to talk about?
I just want to know how you're feeling.
And listen, even if you don't know what to say, I'm here to talk.
No matter what you're going through,
I just want you to know I'm here.
I've got your back. When you want to talk, I'm here.
So I'm back home from college, hanging out with some friends, we're drinking. So we started driving and the road's kind of windy. Next thing I know, I lost control of the car and I crashed into a house. And then from there, you've got the backlash because it was on the news. And before I could even get back home, my phone was blowing up from people's parents, other people like, how could you, so irresponsible? And you go from thinking that I'm this good guy and everything's working out for me to all of a sudden like, I'm a felon. It's a $30,000 mistake for me and something I still think about and have to deal with every day.
Hermanos y hermanas, no tiren basura, Texas no la quieren, dame esa basura. Don't mess with Texas, dámelo a mí, carretera para ti, basura para mí, limpia carretera, limpia la ciudad. Don't mess with Texas, no importa dónde estás.
It's not summer quite yet, but that Texas heat we've been seeing all week might trick you into thinking so.
Bithia Damtunda is here to tell us more about what to expect this weekend.
Yes, so you definitely won't be needing a coat this weekend, but you may feel a couple of wind gusts here and there. But overall, it's looking like nice and sunny right outside on campus. During the day, temperatures will stay pretty consistent throughout until things cool down a bit in the evening. Right now, you can expect temperatures to remain in the 60s with some partly cloudy conditions, but still no rain. Temperatures will fall into the upper 50s by midnight, with it reaching the lower 40s overnight, but then we will be back to the heat wave that we talked about for the weekend. Temperatures will only continue to rise from the 80s to the 87 moving forward for the week. Overall, it's looking like the perfect weekend to make. Overall.
Yes, it does look like a perfect weekend out there. Do you have any plans?
I plan on actually heading over to the skating rink with my friends and family. What about you two?
You know, I'm going to soak up the sun, go to Zilker, maybe have a picnic with some friends, use the sunlight while we have it.
And I'm from San Antonio, so it's Fiesta starting today, so that's what I'll be doing this weekend.
Awesome. All really exciting. Thank you for the weather. And coming up, a University of Texas golf alum moves to the top of the rankings in front of Longhorn fans at the Dell Match Play.
And more about a recent pay raise for musicians who perform at city-sponsored events.
There's just something special about this place. It feels like home. A living room under the sky and trees.
I know, right?
The fresh air and the vast expanse of green, all here for us to enjoy and to care for. We have a responsibility to look after this earth we call home, to preserve it for generations to come. Every small action contributes to a bigger change, and every one of us can make a difference. The forest feels like home, a place where memories are made. And together, we can preserve and protect it.
We want to be that safe space for each other for the rest of our lives.
She protects me, I protect her. We are officially going to start a family. We will protect them from anything. I'm in the fire department and I'm in the National Guard.
Hacking out for drill. I was tasked to administer the vaccine in Oxford, so I saw firsthand what we were dealing with. We decided to approach the vaccine with openness. A lot of questions were asked. When the vaccine was available to us, we were able to get it.
Her mom is very immune compromised.
We've not lost anyone close to us from COVID. I really think so much of that is due to the vaccine. I don't know what would have happened if my mom would have gotten COVID. I'm glad I don't know.
I got the vaccine for others. I was worried about passing it on.
People are worried about the vaccine and what effects that might have later. I'm worried about living in the time that I have right now. I want to enjoy my mom and my grandparents while they are here. This time right now is precious to me.
Welcome back. I'm Enyola Lunge reporting from the sports desk. The World Golf Championships Dell Technologies match play took place last week at Austin Country Club. 64 of the top 70 players from the official World Golf rankings went head-to-head to try to take home the title. After being runner-up in last year's tournament, former University of Texas golfer Scottie Scheffler defeated Kevin Kisner 4-3 in this year's championship match.
I really don't know how to describe the emotion. I've thought about winning this tournament, and ever since last year, it left kind of a poor taste in my mouth. Getting so close and ultimately coming up short. So it feels really good to finish the job this time around.
Scheffler became the youngest match play champion. This was his third win in 42 days, bringing him to #1 in the official World Golf rankings. Next up for Scheffler is the Masters, April 7th to 10th at Augusta National. For a second consecutive season, the Texas women's basketball team saw their tournament run end in the Elite Eight. The Longhorns were defeated by the defending champion Stanford Cardinal on Sunday in Spokane. Senior Joanne Allen Taylor led Texas with 15 points, but the loss brought an emotional end to her Longhorn career.
I am who I am today because I put on this jersey for 4 years. And I just want to say thank you. I just want to say thank you because I'm so blessed.
29-7 record, the most wins in a season since 2015. With 10 out of 13 players returning, the Longhorns will try to build on this run next season. After a red-hot start to their season, the Texas baseball team has hit a slump. The Longhorns hosted Texas A&M on Tuesday and suffered their third defeat in their last 4 games. The Aggies took the lead on a 4th-inning grand slam and held on to win by a final score of 12-9. The Longhorns take on Oklahoma this weekend, needing a series win to remain in the top 10.
Now, you mentioned, their series with Oklahoma this weekend. What are your thoughts on how they fare against Oklahoma?
I think, Texas has a really, really strong game. They've been #2 nationwide for the longest time. And I think they just have, really hit a slump. And you know what they say about slumps? Once you just kind of go right back up.
It has to come back up at some point.
And I also think, the horns down trend that has been...
don't do it.
I know, but anyway, the horns down trend is definitely going to come back up with this game. I just have a very, very strong gut feeling about this.
And you mentioned, Joanne Allen Taylor. She's just announced yesterday she's declaring for the WNBA draft.
Yeah.
So, how do you think this team is going to be without her, being a senior leader?
I think every team player always has their time to go. Everybody or somebody who has been always on the courts, always being the one who's bringing the team together, and after that last game, she's no longer going to be there. And it's kind of crazy, but I know that, the remaining ladies on the team have what it takes to really take Texas forward.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Coming up, what the city is doing to help musicians continue to perform in the live music capital of the world.
And 2 well-known Rainey Street bars are now closed. We'll tell you which ones and why.
Jensen Ackles here. There's a lot of scary stuff out there. But you know what's really scary? Distracted drivers. With their heads down, they're texting, they're swerving, blowing through stop signs and red lights. Not cool, yo. And not safe. And one other thing, it's not legal either. That's right. There's a new statewide Texas law that says you can't read, write, or send a text while driving. So heads up, Texas. Keep your eyes on the road.
Talk, text, crash. Brought to you by TxDOT.
There are a lot of reasons to make Texas a litter-free state. What's important is always keeping a litter-free state of mind. I'm Randy Rogers with a reminder for us all. Don't mess with Texas.
COVID-19 has changed how we vibe. Now it's time to take the first step that lets us get back to getting ticks instead of watching flicks. Before we can safely get out there, we need the facts. As COVID-19 vaccines become available, you may have questions.
Is it safe? Should I get it? Is it free?
It's okay to have questions. Now get the facts about COVID-19 vaccines at getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision for yourself and for your crew.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Austin is known as the live music capital of the world. Now, the city is trying to make it easier for musicians to afford living here. Reporting Texas TV's Samuel Stark tells us how.
Kalu James moved to Austin in 2007 because of the weather, affordable living, and a culture he connected with.
I started watching South by Southwest, and I think 3 weeks later, I packed my bags and drove down here with a friend.
A lot has changed in Austin since Kalu moved here, including the cost of living.
People need money, and that's the only thing that is going to keep the culture here.
Shaka, a board member for the Music Commission in Austin, says the rise in rent has forced a lot of musicians out of the city, especially communities of color.
There's no live music capital without Black musicians, without Black culture.
Austin's Music and Entertainment Division recently raised the hourly pay for musicians performing at city-sponsored events from $150 to $200 an hour.
Not just on the musician side, but a lot of people feel like the city government doesn't work to support them or work for them, and it does. It should, and it does.
The city raised wages for artists performing at city-sponsored events, but does it do enough? Kalu performed at a city-sponsored South by Southwest event and appreciated the pay raise, but he feels this only benefits artists asked to perform at city events, and more could be done to help artists financially.
So if the city of Austin is increasing the pay from $150 to $200, that's amazing. We should also just make sure that those musicians that are moving here, including the ones that have been here, get to benefit from that more than one time.
Samuel Stark, reporting Texas TV.
The pay bump went into effect in early March. If you would like to learn more about the artists featured in this story and programs that benefit Austin musicians, visit reportingtexas.com.
2 popular bars on Rainey Street have shut their doors as of Sunday. Both the Container Bar and Bungalow held their last days of service this weekend, and some Austinites were sad to see them go. The bars are closing permanently in order for the Modern, a new 55-story condo, to be open in their place.
Thanks for joining us tonight on Reporting Texas TV.
If you would like to check out any of our stories on our newscast, please visit reportingtexas.com. We'll see you next Thursday. Good night.